Just like the Mac, we are back. Episode 2 of The Human Climate. How are we doing today?
Tired.
A lot of things have happened since episode 1.
I feel great.
You feel great?
I feel fucking
great. We know why you feel
man.
great. You feel tired?
Yeah.
That's how you feeling.
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah. We have 2 guest stars, Baby Yoda and Baby's Yoda's son. Or baby. As we talked in the
Baby
car.
Yoda can have a son already?
Baby Yoda's 60 years old.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's reached sexual maturity.
And?
How is he gonna have a baby?
Ask Baby!
Oh shit, damn, maybe we should.
He used the force.
He used the voice.
So, first topic, we all know what really happened while we were gone. Halloween, what did we do? No, okay. First topic,
I had a good Halloween actually.
Biden has become the president-elect. Is this why you're feeling good, Anthony?
That's why I feel good.
Should we start with you then?
What do you want me to say?
Well, how do you feel? Where were you when Biden became the president?
So, on Tuesday, when things were looking like they're
Oh yes, we did all get together. We were all together.
Yeah.
And then you came late.
Yeah, I came late. On Wednesday, when things started looking good, I was at home. Same with Thursday and Friday. When he was declared the winner, I was at work. And like everyone was like, holy shit, how dare this guy win steal the election?
How dare this guy?
Yeah, how dare this guy steal the election?
There's a lot of that.
And
for sure.
I'm like, fuck you guys, okay? Biden won, and I feel great. You all can
Careful.
yeah, I'm not gonna go any farther than that, okay?
It's fair to be happy with your candidate win.
And so I feel fucking great, man. And then the speeches that Kamala Harris
Those were great.
and Biden delivered the night of their projected win. That brought tears to my eyes because there was so much hope behind it. There was so much talk of unity. It just felt far more patriotic than any of the bullshit that the Republican Party had spewed out over the last 4 years.
Luke, initial thoughts when you got the news? You were the first one to break it to the group chat.
Yeah.
I was dazed. I had just came home from working out, and I was on my couch in and out of sleep.
Yeah.
I think I was just streaming.
Oh no, you were. Yeah, I got that.
I was at church. I was giving Saturday school to little kids.
Possible.
And then I got a text. I'm like, oh, I saw the chat. But I checked. It said Tony was like, he won. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So I immediately checked the what's it called?
The live update.
Yeah, the live update. And yeah, he was at 290 when I checked. Like, damn,
That's crazy.
it's crazy.
So, the question I would like to ask regarding Biden's presidency. The first 100 days have been crucial in many presidents' start. What do you guys want to see in the first 100 days?
Well, I've seen a lot of talk about possibly canceling student loan debt.
By 50 grand, the first 50 grand.
Up to
I haven't seen that.
$50,000.
That would take me out
A lot of economists have been pushing for it because it could be a great economic stimulus, especially during the pandemic.
But is that held
Wait.
by both sides of the aisle?
Let him express what he wants.
No, I mean,
The first 100, and then we can.
Okay.
And it's an executive order, so it'd be done by executive order, so it doesn't need to be expressed.
And that's usually what the first 100 days
Yeah.
are all about.
It's usually executive orders being pushed through.
Yeah.
Another thing is to be put back into the Paris Climate Accords, and that's something that Biden has promised he'd do within his first 100 days. Some other things would be canceling the Muslim ban, ending the the family separations at the border.
Right.
Those are also some things that are being talked about that he could do in his first 100 days. So I'm fucking excited. Because it'd be a good start to ending the 4 years of destruction towards our democracy that the Trump administration had caused.
Right. What would you like to see in the first 100 days?
Well, okay, the question is it for the Democrats' advantage or for my
In general, what do you want?
I think if the Democrats want to win 2024, they're going to have to keep pushing for not super progressive policies because even though Biden did win this election, there was still a lot of vote that went out for the Trump campaign, and also a lot of moderate Democrats and moderate conservatives tended to switch, and there was a lot of switch in this party. So if the Democrats are wanting to keep control of the presidency, they definitely want to make sure not to go overboard, at least in this election, since it seems like Biden's only going to be a one-term president, he said?
I don't know if he said anything,
He's
but
never said
Okay.
that.
Well, if he becomes a 2-term president, he's definitely going to need to be relaxed on this presidency until he gets elected a second time. And then you can see more so of these policies.
so what do you want to see in the first 100 days?
I would say I would like Biden to be able to preach what he's showing. So if he wants unity, the first step is to, of course, preach unity and to extend the olive branch. And so I would hope so that, but I would also hope that he can help. Since the Democrats did win the presidency, he can actually be a unifying party member within his own party, which tends to be, even at this point, still fractured quite a bit.
No. You, Jesus? First 100 days?
I think it would be a little bit more of what Luke was saying, like unifying everything. Because, at this point, country's pretty separated in its ideologies. But I mean, I think if some sort of unification is available in any sort of way, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
About his policies or like whatever he's like trying to, or like what he used to get people's votes. Like if he could actually go through with them, that'd also be great.
No. I, for one, I'm on board with Anthony, but before everything, we need to get on top of COVID. There's already, they announced yesterday that there's a vaccine that's 90%. Do you know what it was?
90% from Pfizer.
Right, yeah. So it's hopeful. It's probably not the final vaccine. I hope it's not the final vaccine. But that's one of the first things. I would also like to see families reunited, ending that. I don't think abolishing the cages is going to happen. I think there's still going to be some type of holding cell. But
that comes out of a necessity and need.
Well, this is just what I want in the first 100 days.
Okay.
Cages are a necessity.
Well, it's
Cages
more,
are not a
I'm
necessity.
not saying it's a necessity.
A holding center, sure.
Yeah.
But cages, tinfoil blankets, you
I'm
think
more
that's
so
a
I'm more
necessity?
so calling for the holding centers. That's more of a necessity until you can find out.
Right, that's
who
different than
these
cages.
These people that are crossing the border are, and if,
Right.
like for example, the person that's saying is this person's parents might not actually be the case, because there is a significant degree of child trafficking that does happen between the
Right, but
Mexican-
very small.
But it's still enough that it for any child.
Right, but it's not a majority of the cases either.
I know, but I still think that in order to do that, you do need a holding station.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
but-
but it's not cages.
No, yeah, I agree. The cages should not be the case. I mean,
Right, I'm just pushing on you because you said necessity.
Yeah, you
So-
said cages are out of.
You wanted to question the debt. What was your concerns over that?
Which debt?
Student loan debt.
Student loan debt.
I mean, student loan debt is student loan debt. I get the need to want to cancel that. However, I don't think it's the taxpayer's responsibility to do so. Especially, it's not the taxpayer. The taxpayer is ultimately the one who's going to flip the bill. It's not the person. The taxpayer didn't force you to go to college or force you to seek out $100,000 in debt. That was a pure choice by someone who wants to seek a better education. I think it's more so the education's fault for not being able to secure a guarantee that you would get a better job after college. I think that's more of the big issue, not the student debt.
Sure. Well, I mean, taxpayers already pay for public schools.
No,
and this
I
goes
get
on
it.
to the college level as
But
well.
I don't think adding more of that would be good for the taxpayer, nor would I think that a lot of people who are against at least wanting student loan debt or even increasing taxes, it would be difficult to get them on board too, especially if you're saying that you should forgive a lot of people who are going to college, and a lot of these people who do go to college tend to be in a more affluent situation than most people who choose to go to trade school, for example, might be a better.
Ladies in the chat, are we in an affluent situation?
No.
I am not.
Just because you're not in an affluent situation.
No, I feel like you're
doesn't
making a big generalization, though.
Well, if we're going to
I mean,
college,
people. I don't like paying for war, but I still pay for war.
but if we're going to college, we're more affluent than a majority of people in America.
I don't
Yeah,
go
once
to
again, I think
college
that's a
anymore
huge
because my-
generalization.
Okay, that's fair, but I'm just saying that.
And I'm
that
still stuck with my student loan debt.
yeah, but that has been a choice that unfortunately was made, and I don't think debt forgiveness is going to be the answer to do
A
so.
lot of economists have said that it'd be a good boost to the economy. It'd be a stimulus.
Okay.
Because then a lot of people's paychecks wouldn't go towards paying for student loan debt.
And
Lots of
students
debt
already
that they-
didn't get any stimulus package. We were already skipped out on several times. Students have always been skipped out on.
Oh yeah.
And
I
we
agree
also
with that.
cannot help the economy because we're not buying houses because we're focused on our student loan
Well,
debt.
but the economy's also not just been fucked by student loan debt. The economy's been.
No, I'm saying, but it's also a crutch.
But if we want to really focus also on the, I get that. But if there are more troubled areas, like for example, better COVID relief would be a better situation than.
Well, yeah, of
student loan
course.
forgiveness.
I don't think
No,
we're
it'd
saying
be
do
along-
one over the other.
It'd be along the lines of COVID relief and
Right.
economic stimulus for the recession that we were in
But-
because of COVID-19.
But okay, so is that only going to be for people who went to college during the COVID recession?
I
is
think
that
that's going to be up to
for-
Biden. We don't have the answer yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's something we're gonna have to wait on because if you're saying that we want to lump this in with COVID relief, well then that's going to be something that you would have to argue. At what point of college did you enter college where it would be deemed COVID relief? I mean, technically, I was still in college during the whole COVID. So does that mean because I was, well, I get a better relief absolvent, or whatever that word is? Would that mean I get that over someone like my brother who did not go to school during COVID but has even more debt than me,
No.
and because he chose to go to school?
Yeah, there is going to be a lot of things we're going to have to iron out. I don't think there's any question about that.
That's why, in general, we should just cancel up to $50,000 of student loan debt. That's
Where-
platforms. That's platforms that Elizabeth Warren ran on. I think
Where-
Pete Buttigieg also ran on that too in the primaries.
Where
Yeah,
did
but
that
there wasn't
50?
that much support outside of the
Where was
party
that
for
$50,000 figure from? Is that just like some average or a mean?
I believe that's what a lot of economists have said is the best number to stimulate the economy because it'd be canceling the taking out a large sum of what a lot of middle class Americans who are struggling focus a lot of their money towards.
But is this going to be across the board? So say a rich.
We don't
person-
know yet.
But that's my point. But if you were able to make the policy, let's say, if there was a rich person, say, that had the ability to pay for college, do you think that they should still be absolved from the student loan debt?
Maybe it should be based off tax
I
tax
think-
brackets. That could happen.
Well, no, they were running off of if you make under $250,000, that's what Elizabeth Warren ran on. If you make under $250,000, then you should get up to $15,000 of your student loan debt forgiven.
But that's still, even if you get student loan debt, that still doesn't solve why education in its first place is so
It's,
astronomical.
I don't think
No,
it's not trying to solve that.
But that's my point.
It's
a better.
You're
thing than-
arguing, or
No,
this
but-
is what you're saying is apple to
But
orange.
I think resolving your student loan debt is not going to solve the issue of where the debt came in the first place.
But it's a first step to fixing it. So
But
that because a
Fixing
lot of
it or
people,
coding,
a lot of
painting over it.
well,
No, fixing
let me
it.
finish.
Okay.
So a lot of people that are against
and also, like, we're gonna wrap that part up.
okay, a lot of people who are against free university or like subsidized universities are against it because they're like, well, we went through university and I'm
Okay.
stuck with loans. If we allow for student loan forgiveness, student loan debt forgiveness, then there'd be more support for it. And like a lot of evidence has shown that Americans are supporting more progressive policies.
Okay.
ACA is overwhelmingly supported from both sides.
Okay.
A majority of Americans support the ACA. A majority of Americans support legalizing weed. A majority of Americans support
Shout out to
a
Oregon.
$15 minimum wage. A majority of Americans
Oregon.
support undocumented immigrants having a path to citizenship. America is becoming increasingly more progressive. It's just that we're being run by a center-right political system.
Okay. So, and this is what you're saying for that because America is becoming more progressive and that there's more progressive ideas about wanting to, for example, forgive student debt. I get that. I totally get that. And if that's what the American people want to do, that's what the American people want to do. I just don't think that that is the best course of action to do so.
But there's
Once
economists who
I
disagree
feel like you're
with
bouncing
a lot of
around
them.
different
that's
things.
fair.
now, though.
And then economists.
You
but there
started
are
off with
also-
saying like people don't want to do that. Now you're saying
But
it's not the best
with
answer.
the whole economists, there's also economists who, economists don't agree on all one thing. This is like, for example, student loan debt is a hot button issue even amongst economists.
So is there any
just to say-
contrary points?
Well, the contrary points would be.
But is there? Not making one up. Is there a large group of economists that say we should not do that?
Well, I mean, it's probably just as large as the ones that are saying.
But once
we
again, I
should.
feel like you're making a huge generalization again. Like you,
Yeah.
You're saying there might be, like, there's a chance, there's a probability.
I mean, okay, so I can't.
I feel like if there's already proven numbers on pieces of paper.
But the proven numbers
you're
are
bringing
the
up,
proven
like,
numbers.
ifs.
Economists take the numbers and then their own beliefs.
Yeah, I know how economists
so
work.
I get that, and there are.
But I'm asking, do you know contrary points?
I mean, there are contrary points, but they're more so on the.
But like, what are they?
They're more so on the right side. They're saying that if you increase student debt forgiveness, that's not going to necessarily create a solution to the thing. That's just going to paint over the issue.
Because once again, like, I feel like you guys are on two different.
Because the student debt crisis is a direct. There's a direct cause of the student debt crisis to the cost of education.
Right.
And that is something that I think should be more tackled before you start forgiving debt.
Well,
because the debt is just going to go away, but then who's going to flip the bill? The taxpayer who's going to be flipping the bill. Most Americans do not go to college. And even now, more so, college is becoming less and less of a necessity to actually have a career. And more companies are not hiring people based off of their career, their colleges, and that's why then colleges, people who graduate college are feeling disillusioned because they're told by the college system that if they go to college, they just do the 4 years, they'll get a job. Well, guess what? They don't do the job because what does a college degree to show you? It just shows that you can take tests, study for 4 years, and have basically a upscale, expensive daycare center.
Ooh,
where
I don't know about that one.
Where more so like companies like Google, companies outside who are trying to push innovation do hire people without degrees or with only 2-year degrees because of the fact that they're still able to show, basically what a college degree shows to the employer is that they're smart enough to, quote unquote, have an IQ higher that can get you a college degree, which would be around the average of 115. But basically stating, now more than ever, you do not need a college degree. And in the increasing years, as college becomes more expensive and you get less from it, more and more people are not going to go to college because the college system is messed up. So if colleges want to continue, they're going to have to make it cheaper, make it more affordable, and actually secure the promises they give their students, which is you'll have a lucrative job afterwards.
Yeah, and
Wait, I'm gonna have to cut you off. I'm sorry. We're going somewhere deep. Jesus, 1 point from you. I saw you shaking your head, and then we're gonna move on. Where are you shaking your head to?
Shaking my head.
Yeah. Do you? Because.
I guess I was shaking my head because of the whole conversation on.
You just hate these guys. God damn.
The terrible people. You guys suck.
Thank you.
No,
Communists.
I love you guys. I just think differently on how the topics. Well, because personally, I would support that.
I would support both. I mean, I'm not saying like you. I'm sorry for coming. You guys aren't saying anything wrong, but once again, you guys are
Basically,
arguing arguing two different things.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because personally, I'm a student with student loans debt.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't I not want to have to pay those?
Right, and
So
why
then-
wouldn't you want your kids to have a cheaper school as well?
but is it fair
Yeah.
to put that payment on someone who
taxes
hasn't gone
aren't
to
fair
college?
at all. You're arguing once again. I don't want to pay for
See,
war.
Here's
Wait,
another
hold on.
thing.
We got to
Okay.
move on. We got to move on.
Wait,
we're going into
wait.
what's fair for
So
taxpayers.
listen, here's another thing. though.
Different from what Biden needs to do in the first 100
Listen,
days.
like here's another thing though.
I'm totally
A
against
majority-
taxes.
a majority of
And you're
Americans-
against taxes.
At the minimum amount of taxes, I'm favored for. I
Okay,
get
but
the taxes
Absolutely
when you
not.
say
Absolutely.
tax,
Wait, no. We're gonna have to wrap it up.
No,
No.
wait,
I
wait.
can't let this keep
one
going.
more thing.
Let's
You
One more
guys
thing.
wait,
are
wait.
saying
Let's
this
let
has
the
nothing to do
viewer-
with President-elect Biden.
If the viewer wants us to come back to us in the next episode, we can.
Okay,
Yes.
but I do have one more counter.
Okay. Last
one
point.
more
Last
counterpoint.
point. Counterpoint
So
to what?
you
Because you guys
said-
are
I
arguing
need
two
to be able
different
to
things.
follow up.
No. There is no follow-up.
You said that the taxpayers are going to have to bear the brunt of that. But another thing that a majority of Americans support is raising the taxes on wealthy people, making over $400,000 a
And
year.
I agree. I agree if that's what the majority of people. I get
Yeah,
the
and that's
majority
what
of
a
people.
majority of people support. And
I
so
just
if
don't
we
think
do
that's
that,
the right
We're
thing
gonna
to
have to
do.
move on.
easily
We're gonna have to
support.
move on,
I
ladies and
understand, but
gentlemen.
I just don't agree that.
Do you make
raising the
$400,000 a
taxes-
year?
No, but I don't think raising the taxes on the rich is going to be quote unquote this bastion where we can get all our money from.
All right.
It's just not the case. If you raise the taxes on the rich, what are you going to do? You're going to cause them to, one, put their money somewhere else. So they're
They
going
already do that.
Okay, so why do you think
COVID is the proof that
well, why do you
even
think,
if we don't tax the rich,
if
they're
that's
going to
the,
keep getting
if that's
wealthy,
the
we're
case,
going to keep
why do
getting
you
poor.
think that the rich are going to all of a sudden pay these higher taxes if they're already not paying the taxes that they should
Well,
be
first of
paying?
all,
Well, if
we shouldn't be at the whim of the. We're moving on. I'm not
Okay.
entertaining that. We're moving on. So we're talking about Biden. We must talk about Trump. Trump. This is on point with money. There are rumors going around that Trump is out of money, and we see this with, as we all know, Rudolph Giuliani, as Borat was calling him, had a press conference at the Four Seasons Landscaping. Apparently that was not an error that they couldn't afford going to the Four Seasons Hotel. Also, Trump has updated his website asking for more donations, but 60% of those donations, I forgot the exact wording, I might try to pull it up, is to past presidential debt collection, aka pay the debt that I collected running for the presidency. So do you guys think Trump is out? Is he down bad? What's the state of the Trump campaign?
I don't think Trump's out.
I think we can address that soon.
I think if Trump was probably losing money and his businesses are.
What was it? 4 billion, 7 billion spent on this race between the parties.
His
Well, yeah.
campaign ran out of money.
Yeah.
They did.
He
run
pulled
out of
ads
money
in
halfway through.
Florida at the end.
Do I think Trump is going to be a poor person from here on out? Absolutely not.
Well, we don't even know where he's at right now.
Oh, even if so, the way like debt forgiveness and just declaring bankruptcy, he's declared bankruptcy multiple times.
Right.
The fact that when you're at such a high level and like, for example, running a business or something that employs a lot of people, it tends to be really hard for that person to just all up and sudden go bankrupt. There's a whole list of proceedings that have to go. And so if Trump's no stranger to going and through these, bankruptcies and all that. So if there might be something like that, and there might be shuffling around the management, but ultimately I think the bigger issue would not be the race, but how the pandemic has kind of fucked over his real estate holdings and stuff. I think that's the bigger issue.
What about the non-financial state of the Trump campaign? No one on his camp has accepted it, but I've written down, he's not getting a whole bunch of support from the Republican Party as well.
But
Wait, hold on. I want Jesus. I know you guys you two can bounce back and forth. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was just agreeing with that, how he's not getting a lot of support from his own political party.
Right.
I saw a tweet about Mitt Romney, kind of like.
Well, Mitt Romney's like an illusion.
But he's still part of the Republican Party. And,
He might actually be the 2024 candidate.
Yeah. I've been saying, yeah. Wait, let's let Anthony go.
So
Yeah, speak up.
I wouldn't say that the Republican Party is not supporting Trump, because they've also not reached over and congratulated Biden, except like Mitt Romney, the governor of Maryland, John Kasich. Like the Republicans are just basically being silent. It's like they're trying to sit it out, because a lot of their voter base are like leaning towards Trump, and the Republican Party itself is going farther and farther right. And so that's why I disagree. I don't think Mitt Romney will be the face of the Republican Party. I think the Mitt Romney and George Bush and John Kasich eras of
McCain era gone.
Yeah, I think that era of the Republican Party is dead. And now the new face of the Republican Party is Trump and Trumpism. I mean, the Republican Party hates Mitt Romney. They hate John Kasich. The only people that still like McCain are the Democrats and people in Arizona.
Do you guys agree with this? I totally agree. I feel like they are just like waiting around, because the last thing they want to do is endorse Biden, look bad to their base, or the opposite, endorse Trump again and not have a president.
They're handling it similar how the Democrats handled in 2016. So I don't think it's a difference between that. I think it's
Did Hillary not have support from the left?
Well, no. A lot of people were, when Trump won, which was a shock, not just, I mean, it was a shock to me, it was a shock to pretty much everyone in this room probably, that Trump won. And there was a lot of people who didn't believe that, and then there was a lot of throwing around hashtag not my president, all this, not support, even on both sides of the aisle. So one thing that Trump did was really make it so that at least it was able to bring a voice to the American people who support him. Whether you choose to believe Trump and his ideology is one thing, but what that allowed was a shakeup in our politics, which was for a long time career politicians. And so that was something you could see in a lot of 2016 and 2020. Do I think that Trump is going to be the face of the Republican Party for years to come? Oh, hell no. I mean,
really?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I mean, just same as how Biden...
Wait. We'll come back to this. Let's reset our gear.
Thank you.
So, you do not think that the Trumpism will be the future of the Republican Party? You think it will go back to the McCain-Bush,
I think
Romney ideology?
I ultimately think Trump helped the Republican Party in one way, and that was to reestablish the desire for Republican ideology. And so you're seeing a strong rise in the support of Republicanism, at least in the people that follow Trump. I do not think he will be the voice of the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is going to be changing even without Trump, just like how it has to constantly mold to changes in society. I think, for example, Trump is more so like what we had with Biden, where Biden's, ultimately, at least in the Democratic sense, not even the Democrats' first choice. I mean, he's more so the only moderate that was able to look semi-decent in the whole world, or the whole United States. And so because of that, you have Biden, which a lot of people are just putting up with, where Republicans did the same thing. They voted Republican because they did not want Hillary Clinton's economic policies, so they were just kind of biting their vote and voting for Trump. And whether or not you agree that Trump did something successful in his presidency or not is not the point. It's more so that we're kind of having a repeat with the whole Biden situation. Biden's more so less divisive of a figure for sure, but he's just as divisive politically in their own parties.
I guess so, but what Biden represents is the old ideology of the Democratic Party. This kind of I'm progressive, but not all the way. While Trump,
but how far are we going? Are we talking, because there was a time in the '60s when there was a lot of more so opposite. Like, how far are we going?
Well, I'm comparing.
Okay.
Like, what I see in the Republican Party now is like what you said, Trumpism, and I don't know how. Like, before Trump. And like we should also say before Obama, who was waving Trump presidential flags?
People who supported Reagan. There was a big support for Reagan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, Reagan.
It was nowhere near
party
the
was
scale.
But yeah, but Reagan was the closest thing we had to kind of at least for Republican. A lot of people who loved the Reagan era, who were primary Republicans, he was more one of the modern presidents that we, as the party, deified, right? When you think of Reagan, you think of his more so on not a godly way, but he's more transcended in how we talk socially. The only thing that would be comparable is how we kind of talk about our founding fathers. Trump changed that and allowed that to happen here. Now it's going to be interesting to see if the Democrats are able to get the same kind of support, because one thing that the Democrats have is that they have a bigger, wider support. But the problem that comes with the bigger, wider support is that there's a difference of views, and there's going to be a lot of clashing. Just like how there's, even with Biden winning, the Democratic Party doesn't know which direction it wants to have its victory go.
Right, yeah.
And so that's icing on the cake. If the Democrats think that they can win 2022 or 2024 the same way they won 2020, it's going to be an eye-opening experience, because even more so, more people voted for Donald Trump this election than in 2016. So right off the bat, either there's been a bunch of huge spikes in our population, or there's a lot more closeted quote-unquote racists. But that being said, there was a huge support for Trump even for this election. That's a huge win for the Republicans. There was less of a win for Democrats. There wasn't this blue wave that they were hoping for.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking the Democrats are still going the way of 2016, but they're not critical of their own party, and they're more so going outside and trying to find different alternatives to explain why this didn't work. And I think if they aren't more critical on themselves, they're ultimately going to have an issue with 2022, if not 2024. And so I think if the Democratic Party wants to have a good chance of winning and securing not just a four-year term, but wants to actually have kind of some social change, they have to be strategic on how they want to look to the average American viewer, because the average American viewer still has a huge sway in how the election goes.
Should we still? Yeah.
3 things.
Yes.
I still disagree with you. I think Trumpism is here to stay as the face of the Republican Party. There's still a lot of Republicans who won their elections, ran on similar platforms as Trump did. A lot of them still...
I want to agree with you on there. Ted Cruz won Texas because he said Beto O'Rourke would not have the companionship of Trump, but he would.
Not only that, but Lindsey Graham also, like,
but
got on his hands and knees and, like, prayed to Trump, saying that he's the reason that he won the party. And that's where a lot of the Republican Party is going, because a lot of the other, and I'm not saying the current people in the Republican Party are like that, but the people who consider themselves Republicans,
or the new Republicans,
our American society, are leaning more towards a Trump Republican Party, and those are the people who they're going to vote for. They're going to primary out the old Republicans, and then they're going to add in more Trump-like Republicans. Second, I disagree that Biden is neoliberal. Neoliberal was what Clinton and what Obama were. Mm-hmm. Even then, Obama was still fairly progressive with his Affordable Care Act.
So what would you category him?
I'd say Biden...
Because he's not the socialist Marxist that all the Republicans want you to think.
Well, yeah, no.
He's not the Marxist.
He's not as far...
I hate Mark.
He's not as far as AOC or Bernie Sanders, but
Absolutely.
he's still one of the most progressive presidents one of the most progressive Democrats that we've elected into the presidency since, like, JFK, since Lyndon B. Johnson, because of his support for things like...
I know where you're going to go.
His support for things like the Affordable Care Act, wanting to have a public option, wanting to have a buy-in option for people over the age of like 65 or 75, for wanting to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, for wanting to increase taxes on wealthy people making over $400,000 a year, for wanting to what's another thing? For wanting to establish more green energy and to invest into green energy, and while also like supporting like labor union jobs. Like, it's pretty progressive.
Does he support the Green New Deal?
He does not support the Green New Deal, but he has his own version of the Green New Deal, which is basically similar. It was established alongside the Sunrise Movement, which is a youth advocacy group that supports, basically green energy.
Okay. Jesus.
There's a third thing, but I forgot what it was.
I forgot what I was going to push back on you, but if I remember that, I'll do.
So what do you think is the state of the Trump campaign and the Republican camp moving forward?
There's a lot of radicalism in that party now. So
I think on both sides.
Oh, definitely on both sides.
I mean,
if we're going to talk about that.
But like, I feel like it's more, at least in the media, it's more expressed on the red side. I feel like for a while it's going to be like that, especially if Trump does not, concede? Is that what the word is?
Concede.
Concede. If he doesn't concede or like leave the White House peacefully. So I feel like a lot of people are going to still follow his past in a way, and how he acted and made them feel.
Okay. So that being said, I do agree that there has been a bump in the quote-unquote Trumpism, but that's also like you said, there's a lot more people who are like aligning with Trump and liking what Trump is, and you've got the Trump voters and all that. But that's also because we're still living through the Trumpism right now.
Right, of course. We're just trying to guess what's to come.
So that being said, I still don't think that Trump. I mean, the only thing that you could say I think Trump helped the best for the Republicans was to get the kind of support and the fire that the unity more so that the Republicans failed to have in the 2008 election and even in the 2012 election. And so I think the Democratic Party needs to keep that in mind, that the Republican Party is at least more so ready for a 2024 election. And as long as they are able to elect someone or have a running mate who's not as divisive as Trump, the Democrats have are going to have a hard time, because they no longer can rely on Trump being a buffoon and being able to point to that and saying that's why we need a better leader, that's why we need Democrat rule. and a majority, because we wouldn't have that. That is not going to be in the 2024 election. There's going to be more so a probably relatively centrist progressive that can try to grab the votes of the Democrats that are feeling disillusioned by their own party to the Republican side. And that's something I also want to highlight. 2020 highlights also a big deal that there are still a growing number of people who are being disillusioned by the Democratic Party and are choosing to switch over to the Republican. And I think that is just something important to highlight. And whether that be because of racism, whether that be economics, I don't know. I just think that's an interesting thing to point out to.
Last point, and then we're moving on. Who do you think the Republican Party can put up for the presidential election? I feel like the left has a lot of options, but who does the right have? I'm going to go out on a crazy leap. Tucker Carlson. 100%. I believe that is a big chance.
No, the Democrats would go have a field day with his character assassination.
Okay, but so who do you believe? I don't think it's a Mitt Romney. If you're gonna say that, I'm gonna shut you down. I do not think it's a Mitt Romney.
I think it's a younger, more so Obama level kind of. When Obama was running for 2008, he was more so a fresh new face.
But do you have a name?
No, I mean this is someone that's going to come out in 2024. Usually we'll have more likely of an idea who's going to run for president or really be the face of the Republican Party as the election comes in 2024. However, I think it's going to be a younger person who has more centrist views, who can really talk to both sides of the aisle, and maybe so it might even be someone of a woman or a person of color. Who knows? I mean, it might be.
Ben Carson's making a comeback.
I can definitely see Marco Rubio going for a
Rubio, oh yeah,
Rubio could.
I could see that, and he fits the demographic that you just.
He'd get a lot of support in Florida.
Do you have any? Is Bush coming back? Is there any more family members?
Yeah,
Is it? All right. So as we're recording this on the 10th. It's a Tuesday. Apple is having their last event of the year.
Oh.
Now they probably already said it already. It started like an hour ago, I believe.
Dude, I'm so.
But what do you think we're gonna see? You probably have a better idea.
Oh, so it's a full shift up in the market of how Apple's gonna do things.
I'm gonna ruin. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got on Twitter right before this. They released the M chip for their computers.
The M chip.
Yeah, because
is that in house though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nice. So and that's for the MacBook, right?
They didn't say what it's for. It's just for the Mac lineup. We don't know if it's the MacBook, iMac, or what it's going to start in.
So likely it's going to be. I don't know. I'm just doing speculation right now. Well, you probably already know before I.
Yeah, the viewers won't. We would know by the time I'm editing this.
Yeah, but that being said, I'm just going off of what we have. I think it's going to be most likely a MacBook that's going to be 13, 14 inch. And then next year is going to be the big reveal of, so far, a desktop processor. Because what they're essentially Apple's switching to, Apple's switching to is from Intel, which is an out-of-house third-party processor manufacturer, which has a lot of limitations. As you can see, is Intel is lagging behind in a lot of key issues.
As we see with AMD taking their
spotlight. And so Apple. That's primarily the reason why your Apple laptop overheats by just running a couple things at one point, is because you have an Intel processor that is not good at thermal limits in a small body that doesn't really have a fan system that can handle getting rid of that, CPU heat, which would be better for a desktop. But the thing about the ARM chip, which is amazing, is one, it will basically allow for cooler operating temperatures, so you can have MacBooks actually reach the potential and not be thermal throttled. You can have a better seamless transition between Apple products, which would be huge for an ecosystem that Apple's probably aiming for with their up-and-coming car that they're going to reveal eventually. And 3, the Apple chips are one of the most competitive chips in the manufacturing of computer chips right now, and they are still killing it, which is awesome.
Do you have any idea? Do you want to put input? Android user? You do have a MacBook. What would make you want to upgrade?
Nothing.
If you had the money?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Like,
is this your
upgrade my MacBook?
Like, yeah. What is like the big thing? Like, oh, if they had this, or like let's say tomorrow you need to buy a new system.
For example, battery life is expected to be at least.
I guess
half more,
I would say
if not double, the battery life that most MacBook laptops can handle right now, which is a big thing.
I guess I'd say the only thing that give me to transfer is nothing. because the MacBook, while still being great, is fairly fucking useless. You can't play shit on it, okay?
Oh my
But
god.
that's the thing.
That's
What a gamer nerd!
But
PC
no,
Master
listen,
Race over
I
here.
agree with
Listen,
Anthony.
okay.
Oh my
But
god.
There are some games that I want to play, like Rising Storm or Insurgency or Left 4 Dead 2. I can't fucking play Left 4
Hey,
Dead 2.
I want to
on
go
my MacBook.
race my car,
No,
but I only have a BMW. It should be more like a car. Shut up.
I agree with
Shut
Anthony.
up.
No, this is
All your
Wait,
people.
wait.
two different things.
Oh
I
my
agree with
God.
Anthony, but to give more support, now more than ever, in the new MacBooks will allow you to game.
This is the
Now
first
more
time he's
than
just
ever.
going against you out of spite. This is the first time I've heard him use Mac and gaming better.
No,
Can you back
Macs
me up here?
suck. Macs suck at gaming. There's no question about
Yeah,
that.
no,
Yeah.
But
they suck
if
ass.
you are a hardcore
Yeah.
Mac user, you should be excited for the gaming potentials in the next iteration.
I don't care.
Also, I don't really game in general.
So what are you crying about?
Well,
What are you crying about?
I still would never upgrade because
I don't drive
use-
above 80 miles an hour,
Well, eventually-
so I kind of don't need a Corvette. But
Eventually,
what are you
you'll have
saying?
to upgrade because
Well, of course, yeah,
they'll be
like 10 years.
obsolete. But
I mean, like, listen. I could just buy it like another 10 years down the line.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna come back to you once you're done.
Because I don't care, okay? My mind's been on the elections. I haven't paid attention to anything else except for the elections.
Your MacBook runs Minecraft. That's all you need. Jesus,
Exactly. That's all I fucking need.
You-
They'll run it a lot better.
You are in the market for a new computer.
For the love of God, don't get a Mac, please.
You get a Mac.
I mean, honestly, I
Are you already sold? Like Apple, what they have now is great. Anything
Yeah.
new would be a bonus for you.
yeah, I'm like it could be like a 2-year-old MacBook. I just don't like smaller computers, like smaller laptops. No way.
You want a 20-inch.
No, like what is it? 16, 15?
This is the 15, but
15
they
inch?
discontinued it for the 16.
Okay, just
Yeah, like I'd be okay with that, and like I guess you could say a weaker processor or like whatever technology it has in it. Because like for what I use a computer for, isn't all that magic. The whatever Luke tries to
Whatever he's running on his Twitch
persuade.
stream now.
Yeah.
Were
So
you gonna
like I'd be okay with any upgrade.
But the question is, if that's the case, then why not just upgrade to something that's half the price and runs just as better, and you don't care about performance? So why at all make them switch to Apple then?
Because the freaking swag, the drip.
The-
Why do you get a
but-
BMW over a Toyota when
Yeah.
they make the same car?
And then when you get that BMW
'Cause
and it
I mean-
depreciates like drastically.
First of all,
Apple makes
Apple does not
quality-
depreciate.
Apple makes
Like a Windows
quality
system.
product.
Okay,
Every
that's
card
fair, but a Windows
appreciates.
but
Huh?
Every card appreciates.
But a
Thank you
window,
very
a
much.
Windows is also not built to be as flashy. It's supposed to be more brute force, like what you want. It's just
General-
get the like. For example, if I'm a gamer, I want my system to run games. If I'm someone who's going to be streaming, I need a system that can stream. Like
This can stream.
Mac is more so good for like, I guess, broad category
Absolutely
productivity.
Not. Absolutely not.
You know what is brute force?
What?
It's not fucking Mac. It's not fucking
I already know what he's gonna
Microsoft.
say.
It's the Xbox 360. Okay,
I don't know,
fucking
man.
6 years. I've had mine for 6 years.
We
and
played
is-
it over the
It's
weekend.
still
It's pretty
fucking
good.
Kicking ass. It kicks ass. I can go on it. I can play.
Hey, can you play the new Call of Duty?
Dude, I can and
Your world-
I don't need the new Call of Duty.
What's in
because
your
I
world?
have-
Sounds
I
like
have
somebody
Modern
that hasn't
Warfare.
played the new Call of Duty.
I have Modern Warfare 3 with survival mode. Okay, that's all I fucking
I
We
did.
went
I have
rounds.
I did
Minecraft.
like Modern Warfare
I have
3.
Minecraft,
I didn't
Xbox
care about
360
number
version.
2, baby.
I like the online better than number 2.
Not only
some
that,
reason.
but I also have fucking Just Cause 2. That shit is fun to fuck around
There's
with.
4
I
out.
don't.
But
I
like,
don't need.
okay.
I don't need.
This
I
is a
don't
man
need
that
your
kept this
fucking-
VHS until 2012.
Why
Listen.
don't you just get a
Okay,
system?
so what if I did? So what if I did?
Okay. What would make you are the only one? This question is just for you. I'm attacking just you. You're the only one here with an Android phone. Not the only one in our group. It's
I used to have
50-50.
Android. I switched twice.
You're crazy.
I switched a few times too.
Yeah.
You're insane. I went from Android for my first few
No,
phones.
because honestly, I would. If,
Wait. Let me.
I'd probably switch again.
honestly, if I could go with like, if I was a fanboy of any phone producer, it'd be OnePlus.
Not
No,
OnePlus is great.
I would stick with OnePlus. Like,
But I like how
Why?
Samsung. I like Samsung.
Samsung's
Just the
pretty
quality.
good.
Okay.
Samsung.
What would make you switch phones?
Listen, look at this. Okay, It's a fucking sex symbol.
That is disgusting.
This is
First
beautiful.
of all, but that's a new phone relatively for you, so that's not even something that you have to worry about. They got that
No, I'm just
this year.
saying, what would make you upgrade? I'm not saying
Listen,
go upgrade.
Nothing.
I'm upgrading.
Nothing would make me upgrade from Android. Okay, Apple has this thing where they keep you in the ecosystem. They make it to where you're stuck, you're trapped.
What'd you say?
I agree.
And
What'd you say? Look at you! That was the joke!
And it's like, I mean, I honestly don't care about being trapped in the ecosystem. I have a fucking MacBook and then an Android phone, so
And an iPad.
and an iPad, and I use this as my fucking watch. I don't use a smartwatch, so I don't really care. But I'm just used to Android. Nothing could make me upgrade. I don't
Nothing
think.
at all.
Yeah, if for most of my life I've used like budget phones that like smartphones that cost like $100 to $150. I'm not really big into that kind of stuff. This was just a gift for myself because I got my fucking sign-up bonus.
That is one interesting thing actually. That
What is interesting?
Apple has really good operating software, right?
100%.
Why on earth haven't they tried to target the $150 smartphone? Because they're
First of all, there's no smartphone 150.
but no,
Yeah, there is.
there
Not
is.
anymore.
Android
Where?
everywhere.
Okay.
I'm talking
Those
about
are like-
flagship.
those
I'm talking
You're talking about
Yeah, no, we're talking
homie and Metro PCS is gonna sell you
No,
a middle of the
exactly.
mall.
And that's
well,
what I use.
you're
It
going
doesn't-
into the crackheads.
No.
You can still buy iPhone 4 for no. We're
No, it
totally
doesn't.
different
It
thing.
doesn't have to be a flagship smartphone necessarily. But I'm surprised Apple hasn't,
No,
especially
they
with
were-
more developing countries.
They have budget.
Reached into a budget.
iPhone SE.
Yeah, and the iPhone Mini.
That's still. Well, the SE is still 400, and the Mini's at least
Yeah,
600.
this is a flagship phone, the S10.
Right.
It's like $450.
Right.
But-
you can.
But
get
think
that
about
stuff.
it. You strap that operating software that Apple does, which can run, you can pretty much run on a toaster, and you put that on a cheap phone that looks aesthetically pleasing. You could fucking get millions off of that.
I think that'd be the
Apple's-
only reason I'd like switch to Apple because, like I said, I don't think too much about what's behind it. I just think about my wallet because I'm
Exactly.
fucking poor. Okay,
Speaking like a true Mennonite, I'm happy you converted.
I'm not fucking Mennonite.
All right, so we're getting to the end.
Boy.
This is I always got to throw a bone to Luke because he has my weak spot. Hyperloop, first human trial happened yesterday. They said the math could not do it, and they did it. Your face is disgusted. Why?
Okay, so the Hyperloop has a good idea, and it's a great thing. I certainly believe that.
Wait, let's not get to the science. What do you think about the first human?
No, this is important. Well, the Hyperloop.
He said this last time. He
And
said,
then
and I had to
tangent.
no.
No, because
How
it's
many
important
years?
to
How much time
understand
is
why. Okay, so basically, let me do a really quick thing.
Okay, well, let's restart. We only have 2 minutes anyways. We're going to restart before this. Alright, so we're getting to the end. You were going on about the Hyperloop.
The Hyperloop has potential. I do not think necessarily it has the potential right now. I think it's something that is a good idea. However, I think what would be better is if Elon Musk stuck to his boring company rather than the Hyperloop. I think the Hyperloop, if he's going to install it above ground, it's going to ultimately fail because there's just too much of a chance for the system to go wrong. Because if you put it above ground, then you have to deal with the changing in the atmosphere as the climate warms up. So you have to make sure that your Hyperloop can expand with the heat. That being said, if, for example, one part of the Hyperloop does fail, then pretty much the whole system is down. So, and it's not just like, oh, the thing stops running. If you are putting a vacuum pressured seal inside and that whole system fails, you are going to be squished like a pancake, if not severely hurt. And because of that, I think the best situation would be if we went to the Boring Company solution of drilling in more so underground highways that will allow us to connect between city and city, so we no longer have to have this urban sprawl of infrastructure above ground. So we can then also bring back more and more beautiful environmental features that were once lost to the advent of our interstate highway. So I think this is something that we really need to push for, because as America, as a developed country, we are one of the people who are lagging severely behind on public transportation. If we can get to a route like Japan where we can have high-speed rails, for example, if you go to California from LA to San Francisco would be a couple, 2-3 hours of a ride. And that cost is not something that will... The cost is not going to be put onto the rich person. The rich person who made it is going to be rich, for sure. But how having cheaper means to transportation is not only going to make everything cheaper, because being able to transfer goods will be a lot cheaper, but think about it. If you wanted to work in Chicago, right? Pretty much all you could do is live outside the suburbs of Chicago or in small parts of Indiana. That's close to the border.
Yeah, because I don't want to live anywhere in Illinois that's not Chicago.
But that being said, if
Not worth it.
For example, if you had a Hyperloop that was connected from South Bend to Chicago, you could live in South Bend and be in Chicago in less than an hour. And so your commute is less than that if you were on the highway. But then you were able to live in a cheaper area. It allows more economic mobility and freedom to the individual person, and that's something I'm excited for.
This first trial, what do you think? So I'm trying to word it right. If this was on a percentage out of 100, what percent is this first trial? Like, is it 1% to the end goal, or?
Well, that's a very difficult question to ask, because
Well, just general, like, if you had to.
assuming, my belief is in the belief of that as technology improves, there's an exponential increase in how we can do things. So right now it could be said that, for example, let's go for gene editing, being able to map out a whole genome. That was something that was supposed to be done in experts working on the project said it was going to be 15 years. The majority of the project did not finish. 60% of it finished in the last 3 years of the project. So that being said, with exponential return, so if, for example, Elon Musk gets more and more support because he was able to show off this innovation, he'll get more investors, which will then bring more people, like-minded individuals who want to work for Tesla, work for the Boring Company, which will get more minds on the project. So you'll see a steady increase in exponential returns. That being said, any major country-wide change in infrastructure will take years. I think if we were really to follow it, I think by 2035 we could have a full interstate superhighway.
That's pretty soon.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Hyperloop? Did you guys see the videos and stuff like that? You haven't seen it?
Like I said, my focus
Oh my
has
God.
always been on the election.
It's cool though. I mean,
I like it. I think it's promising.
it would allow for the average person. Think about it. So air travel is pretty much, besides using a bus, which takes hours and hours to get to your destination, air travel is pretty much the fastest semi-affordable way of traveling. And that being said,
But not practical.
I mean, it's practical if you plan it, but obviously going on an airplane to get to your job is not going to be the majority of people who can do that. But if you have systems in place that allow you to live in otherwise areas that are farther away from things, not only do you have more access to things, so for example, you can bring the city culture to more rural places, or you can connect the cities together. Like the East Coast would have a phenomenal time with this. Imagine going to New York and wanting to go to someplace in Virginia and it only taking a couple hours, and for the price of a bus ticket. I mean, that's insane. That's a lot of mobility for us.
I want to bring up something. I always thought the Hyperloop would be like one-on-one with the Boring Company, but I guess it's not so far.
The Boring Company is more so like, I mean, Tesla, Elon Musk puts all his eggs pretty much in the Tesla basket, which for sure, I mean, that's where innovation
It's the only thing making money right now.
Yeah, it's where innovation is going. But the Boring Company has something in the bags that a lot of people are going to see in the future, and that is cheap tunnel digging. So I forget the numbers, but I know for example, like to get a tunnel system, a subway system in a city costs billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But with the Boring Company, what they've been able to do that is get that down to hundreds of $1 million, and that's huge for a state or a city that's already tight on their finances. And when you give that ability for a person, the average person, greater control, it's no different from when we pushed for the interstate highway and allowed us to connect all our cities. And so suddenly, a person can drive from someplace in Indiana and get to Chicago. Sure, it's going to take a couple hours, but we have that ability. That wasn't something that's pretty new in the American aspect, where less than 100 years ago, the interstate highway formed, and that has revolutionized the way we travel. And so this is just the next step, the next innovation, the next big leap to how we are going to be able to interact. There will be times where maybe in the future, if we continue doing the podcast, I might be in Arizona, you might be in Texas, you might be somewhere else, but we can get together.
I'm never going back.
Okay, wherever you're going, we can get together more so now than ever because of the advent of how fast transportation is. And I truly think transportation is the big key to driving innovation. I mean, the faster you can get something to a place, the faster it can be worked on, the faster you can get stuff done, the faster you can deliver goods to the person. So if you can update transportation domestically, you will also have a strong economy for the future.
All right, so you guys can't really add to it. To end, I forgot if it was Jesus or Anthony said we need more world news. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
I couldn't find anything. I forgot.
I'll cover China.
Absolutely not. But Vice put this out. I just wanted to run it by you guys before we end it. The Thai King gave his first interview in years, and it only lasted 30 seconds. Sorry, I hiccup. New Zealand has appointed its first indigenous female foreign minister.
I saw that, yeah.
She looks cool.
Also, I think Japan, with its monarchy, had a new, I think, king or prince, something about that. So Japan's monarchy has also been changing a little bit.
Indonesia government wants to build Jurassic Park resort in the island of Komodo.
Oh, interesting.
Ethiopia is on the brink of a civil war. We're right behind you, Dad.
Wait, Ethiopia, that's true, and Ethiopia has also been in the news because of its dam that's been building.
Well, not just that,
but their civil war.
No, their northern, one of the northern states was, I believe, against their current government.
Yeah.
And then when there were federal troops in the northern area, the security forces of that area fired upon them.
Oh, yeah.
And so they pretty much had an entire media shut down. They've just shut everything down in that area and sent in more troops.
It'll be interesting to see because Ethiopia was at one time seen to be one of the financial hubs of Africa when they were supposed to break through the economic, I guess, floor.
I mean, they are. They're the economic hub of Africa, and that's where the African Union is held. So it's a very key nation within Africa.
But that's my point. That it's going to definitely have ripple effects around Africa and even in the rest of the world.
Pro-choice protests in Poland continue to fight on, and they vowed to fight on. Oh, this is for you, Luke.
What's that?
I should not have said that. I'm sorry. Thai ban on Pornhub sparks protests over censorship. They want their porn. Stop censoring their porn.
Well, yeah, I'm for uncensored porn.
I
don't know how that was for me.
I was just making a stupid joke. Gig workers are striking through Latin America. I know nothing about this. It just says gig workers. Do you know what a gig worker is?
Gig?
G-I-G.
Oh, that's just independent people.
Are they just people
like
who are seasonal
contractors?
workers?
Yeah. No, a gig worker is someone who's in the gig industry, so I believe that's music.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah.
Art.
The way it was sounding, it was a seasonal worker.
I mean, it could. I have no clue. Gig workers, independent. Yeah, it's a contract.
Okay. One thing that we need to talk about. You ready for this?
I'm going to cut you off. I'm getting ready to cut you off.
Space travel!
No!
Space travel is our future! I'm so excited, guys!
Absolutely not. The Not Fucking Around Coalition wants to protect Black Americans. Don't fuck around with Black America.
Yeah.
Iran is pivoting to Bitcoin, and that's the last of our world news. That was actually pretty surprising to me. I don't know is that going to be their currency? I
think they're trying to take the China model where China's trying to have a centralized online currency so China can have a better idea of what money's coming into the economy and what money's coming out of the economy. So
maybe another cashless society.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But they said Bitcoin specifically.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a safe bet for them.
Yeah, Iran, please do not pivot towards Bitcoin.
But that being said, we might have one day a switch pretty soon to electronic as well because it's getting there, and I can't wait. Oh god, cash is
because you hate poor people.
No,
because he's always losing his card.
Yeah, he doesn't have a card.
That's my point. I should be able to pay with my phone.
you do for
Can
most
you?
places.
Okay, let me just rant a little bit. I
No,
finally,
this is the end.
I
This is the end of the
I
episode.
finally
No,
understand
shut up.
why
Shut up.
Walmart has its
Shut
own pay.
up.
I get it, but it's annoying.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Walmart
Thank you
pay
for-
sucks.
Already closed it.